Good day, everyone. I was born and raised in Detroit. Growing up there, I saw people like me running things. This is a courtroom, not a circus, so we're going to calm down.
I'm sorry.
What I found there was a passion that I didn't know existed.
This is the bottom line.
I'm excited to free fall into the limitless possibilities with we the people. So many are fearful of the law. They think it's something that works against them.
I think you need to begin to accept responsibility for your mistakes.
We are the people.
Michael Miller claims he was maliciously injured during a high-stakes game of musical chairs. Steven Diaz says his former co-worker was in good spirits after their combined fall, so he needs to let it go.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Miller versus Diaz. Mr. Miller, you are suing Mr. Diaz for $632.50 for personal injury you say he caused. Is this correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Diaz, you say that he played at his own risk.
Oh, for certain.
All right. So I want to start with you, Mr. Miller. How did this incident occur?
Thank you, Your Honor. I know Mr. Diaz from work. We used to work at the same retail company, and we worked different shifts, but we had the same circle of friends.
All right.
And so we went to the same party, and at these parties, we have a game that we all throw money into. This game in particular was musical chairs. And we each deposit $50 to get into the game, and there were 10 of us, and so the amount that you get if you win the game is $500. Now, the last time that I played the game,
$500 for musical chairs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Count you in. I've never done that. Sean said he gonna play. All right.
And so the last time that we played, I didn't do so well, so I was so motivated and excited to win this time and to put my best foot forward here. And as we were nearing the end of the game, Mr. Diaz and I were neck and neck, and as I was about to sit down on that chair, which was right behind me, Mr. Diaz ripped the chair right out from under me, and he was too tipsy to stay straight up, and so he ended up tripping both of us, and he landed on my ankle, at which point the next day I had to go to the hospital. Sorry, I did tell him later that day, in the evening after the party, that he had injured me, at which point he just laughed it off.
Hold on. Let me make sure I remember what musical chairs is. The music plays, you go around, the music stops, and there's only enough chairs for everyone except one person.
Correct.
And the person that doesn't get a seat is out.
Correct.
And then once you stand back up, they remove one chair and close the circle in, right? Mm-hmm. So why is it that you say Mr. Diaz snatched a chair out from under you? That's not the game.
That's my point exactly. Mr. Diaz right here,
Did you do that, Mr. Diaz?
No, it's a false narrative that's being pushed.
So how did it go in your estimation?
Well, I mean, it was neck and neck. We were down to the last chair. However, we both put our hands on the chair.
So you're at that last two-step one.
Yeah.
And you go like this to get on the chair.
Yes.
And then what happens?
Well, we both fell to the ground equally in good spirits. That's why this is coming out of the blue.
He pulled the chair right out from under me, Your Honor.
Nah, false. Totally
he had pulled
false.
the chair, and that caused us both to trip. He obviously could not have handled his alcohol very well that day, because he was drinking quite a bit as well.
So if he fell, how did he fall on your ankle?
So he had pulled the chair, and then while pulling the chair back, he had fallen backwards towards myself, at which point he landed on my ankle. Well, he landed on me, tripped both of us over.
Step out in the aisle right there and show me.
How it happened?
Yes.
So let's say that he's right there and I'm right. Let's say he is me and I am him. When he pulled the chair out, he pulled the chair, and then because he was so intoxicated, he put himself off balance and then landed on me, pushing me over and landing on my ankle when he hit the ground.
Who pulls a chair like that?
That's what I'm saying.
No, we both
It
grabbed the
was
chair at the
absurd.
same time. We both grabbed the chair at the same time and fell at the same time.
All right, so you fall. Let me just think about this. You say he falls. Do you agree, Mr. Diaz, that you fell?
We both fell
I
at
mean,
the
because
exact
to
same
be
time.
honest with you, I have seen people fall down fighting over the last chair. That's not abnormal, but it's usually because they're both trying to get their butts in the seat.
Coming up,
So you believe it was intentional and not negligent, or you believe it was negligent and not intentional?
I believe it was both, Your Honor.
Lord have mercy.
and later,
But it was the last one, and they sell out fast, so I just decided that I would use my emergency credit card and buy it. And
Because this was an emergency to get this Halloween
Yes.
decorative piece.
closed captioning provided by. You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. We're back with the case of Michael Miller, who brought Steven Diaz to court over a party game injury.
Tell me, Mr. Diaz, do you remember falling on Mr. Miller's leg or his ankle?
No, we fell at the exact same time.
Well, that doesn't change the fact you could have fallen on him.
Well, there was a collision, but it wasn't anything that
Did you
stuck out
land
in my
on
mind.
him?
Yes. I mean, we both fell at the same time.
All right, and so you were hurt instantly?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you get up and walk away?
I
Or
had
you-
to
He
hobble
did.
away so I could get some ice.
That's false. That's false.
So, Mr. Diaz, you're saying that he wasn't hurt?
Well, he was. We were both in good spirits on the ground. Like everything was fun, and to the point where the mood was.
Oh,
fine.
you laughed.
We
Everybody
both
laughed.
We both laughed.
It
I
was
wasn't.
funny.
I wasn't laughing. I was.
Were
in
you
pain.
drinking?
I did
was
have
definitely
some.
drinking.
So you were drinking as well?
Yes.
How many drinks did you have?
I had only a couple of beers.
How many drinks did you have, Mr. Diaz?
A couple of beers.
Oh,
same
they
thing.
lying. Okay.
No, he had
Exactly.
his drink full.
They
He
both
had his
lying.
cup
Go
full
ahead.
the entire night.
He was trying to get me drunk.
Next question. So you got up and realized, oh, my ankle's hurt. I hop off.
Well, the moment that he landed on me, I felt the searing pain, and so I did feel injured instantly. And
Okay.
I tried letting him know, but he was
Did
just laughing
Mr. Diaz
too hard.
help you up?
No, he
How'd
was
you
just
get up?
laughing.
We both got up.
I got up on my own using just my other leg because my other one, I didn't know how bad the damage was. I did find out later that I could walk on it just with a lot of pain. And so I did go.
So
and I
you
got
went and
some-
got checked out.
The next day, yes, at Lincoln Hospital of Hope. I have the
I'd like to
receipt
see
right
whatever
here.
evidence you have of that.
Thank you, bailiff. And so I did end up incurring the total debt of $632.50 at that urgent care. And so what I'm requesting today is that Mr. Diaz pay the amount that I paid at the hospital.
Because you believe he injured you.
Correct.
You believe it was intentional, or do you believe he was being negligent?
I believe he was being negligent.
And then what duty of care did he owe you? What duty of care do you owe to someone in a musical chairs game?
I believe
That's
that
what I'm trying to figure
it's not the game itself, it's the fact that I was injured due to his actions. And so because
Okay.
of that,
But if he pulled the chair intentionally, then that would be intentional.
yes.
So you believe it was intentional and not negligent, or you believe it was negligent and not intentional?
I believe it was both, Your Honor.
Lord have mercy. Ooh, it's lunchtime.
I believe that he intentionally pulled the chair, and he was negligent
False.
enough not to
False.
try and keep himself up straight.
False.
He didn't
False.
even pay me any mind. When I told him later,
False.
in the wee hours of the night, Your Honor,
Objection.
after the party was at an end, I had told him, I said, hey, I got really badly hurt earlier when you landed on my ankle. And what he did, he just laughed and grabbed another drink.
In a very joking way, you said that. I thought it was all a joke.
I wouldn't
I
joke
thought it was
about
all
that.
a
Why
joke.
would I
How
joke
do you
about
remember it, Mr. Diaz?
I mean, it happened.
No, how do you
it.
remember him saying, hey, I'm hurt? Like, did you say, listen, I'm thinking about you fall. You've been co-workers for years. You know each other. Okay, you don't help him up, which I think is odd. But if you didn't really know he was really that hurt until he stood up on it, okay, both of your little drunk selves was just trying to get up.
That's exactly what
And
it
if
was.
everybody was laughing, which I'm sure they were, there may not have been a moment where you really thought, is he really hurt? But at the point that you realized he was, what did you say? What did you offer?
Well, he never, that night, it was never apparent to me that he was seriously injured. I thought he was, kind of just, we were both, a little tipsy.
We
fell
off
over.
to the side.
We equally got up in good spirits, laughing. And later on, he came on saying, "Oh, you really hurt my ankle." I thought he was joking. That's why, if I really knew he was hurt, I wouldn't say, "Stop being a baby, stop doing that." This was all fun and games.
Well, you were playing a game, so that's my point.
Exactly.
How long did you stay at the party, Mr. Miller, after you realized your foot hurt?
I mean,
The whole night.
I did stay for the rest of the evening.
Whole night.
Oh! So
whole
this
night.
sharp, excruciating pain that you said you had
Yes.
when you stood up wasn't enough for you to take yourself home?
Well, no, Your Honor. I did stay, and I wanted to make sure I was iced up, and so I stayed, and I kept icing it on the couch that was available
And
at
it
the
wasn't
party.
enough for you to go to the hospital that night?
I didn't know the severity of the damage.
All right, I've heard enough. What's that phrase? Play silly games, win silly prizes.
That's it.
I mean, it's just, that is life, right? I want to understand how this court is supposed to believe that Mr. Diaz was malicious and somehow just pulled this chair out. I do not think it was intentional. I don't even think it was negligent. If you cannot take the heat, stay out the what?
Kitchen.
Thank you, babe.
Thank you, Sean. Don't play these games because you can get hurt. So it's the judgment of this court that you, Mr. Diaz, are not responsible for the injuries. Judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
So what do you think about the verdict?
You tried, and you failed.
Coming up,
She kissed me, and I immediately pushed her off of me, and I said, "I'm in a relationship. I'm not about that. I don't want to do that with you." And that's why I told her as soon as I came home. I didn't know that she would call me a liar and a cheater.
closed captioning provided by... You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. Louise Krantz claims her ex-girlfriend owes her for the cost of a Halloween skeleton they bought before they broke up. Dee Siegel says Ms. Krantz is a cheater, so she doesn't deserve the skeleton decoration.
Ms. Krantz, you are suing Ms. Siegel for $340, the cost of a decorative piece.
Yes.
And Ms. Siegel, you say you've already paid her.
Yes.
Okay, I want to hear from the plaintiff. Ms. Krantz, tell me about this decorative piece.
So the decorative piece is a 12-foot tall Halloween skeleton. We're both very fond of Halloween, and we bonded over it while we were together, and we decided that since the skeleton was going viral, we wanted to get it. So I went ahead and purchased it for us, and she did pay me back. But I feel, after we have broken up, I feel like I would like the skeleton or compensation for the skeleton.
When you paid for it, did you both pay half together?
No, I put it all on my emergency credit card because she wasn't with me, and it was the last one. And I know we were supposed to discuss it before we purchased it, but it was the last one, and they sell out fast, so I just decided that I would use my emergency credit card and buy it. And
because this was an emergency to get this Halloween decorative piece.
No, seriously, I felt like it was an emergency, and I wanted it, so I went ahead and got it.
Jump in, Ms. Siegel.
Well, we agreed that when we saw the skeleton, we would pay for it half and half, and I have text messages to prove that we had this
I'd
agreement.
like to see those. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you guys have text messages that say, "I saw a skeleton today, and I saw it in person. You know we have to get one. Oh my God, jealous. They're so hard to find. But if we can find one, let's get it, no matter what. If we see one and we aren't together, we agree to snag it. Obviously, if you find one, I'll send you half, or vice versa. Our skeleton's son."
Coming up,
You were roommates, or what was going on between you two? Were you dating, or were you roommates?
Yes, we were dating.
Okay, and you lived together?
Yes.
closed captioning provided by... You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. We're back with a dispute between Louise Kranz and her ex-girlfriend Dee Siegel over a giant Halloween decoration.
So what is the problem?
Well, the problem is that she didn't consult me beforehand, before she paid it, and we had an agreement that we would pay half and half. And so to cover my half of the payment, I decided to pay the half of the skeleton payment I was originally supposed to pay, since she was short on bills that month and couldn't pay her rent, her half of the rent.
So you covered her half of the rent instead of giving the half of the skeleton?
Yes.
So how much was the rent?
It's $1,200 a month. We pay $600 each.
Oh, so you covered a $600 debt that she would have, right?
Yes.
You were roommates, or what was going on between you two? Were you dating or were you roommates?
Yes, we were dating.
Okay, and you lived together?
Yes.
So what's the problem?
Well, there's that, and there's also an incident that happened, and we're more or less fighting for who gets to have the skeleton.
Okay, so let's get to that. Why'd you break up?
Well, over the summer, she visited family back home, and she went out with a bunch of friends, and her ex-girlfriend was there, and they kissed, and she came home and she told me, and of course I was shaken and heartbroken, and I told her that it wasn't going to work out.
Your Honor, she says they kissed like I was trying to kiss my ex-girlfriend when I really was not. She kissed me, and I immediately pushed her off of me, and I said, I'm in a relationship, I'm not about that, I don't want to do that with you. And that's why I told her as soon as I came home. I didn't know that she would call me a liar and a cheater.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns. Promotional consideration provided by... You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake.
What about the skeleton son? I can see there's some similarities between real custody disagreements and fights and skeleton son one, because it's always about the two people going back and forth and not about the child. I want to know about the skeleton son. Does anybody have a picture of the skeleton son?
I have a photo, yeah.
Thank you.
It's more like our dad. He's big.
Okay.
There he is. Or is it a she? It's a son. It's a he.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So this is the skeleton son. Now you're fighting over it because you broke up. You didn't take it with you when you left, so obviously you didn't really want it. You didn't come in here and sue for the return of it. You sued for the money for it. It is for that reason I'm going to give the judgment for the plaintiff for $170, which is the half the value of what was paid for the skeleton son. Judgment for the plaintiff for $170. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $170.
If you would have just talked to me, this wouldn't even be a problem.
I wanted to give you a chance to talk.
You didn't even give me a chance. You literally kicked me to the curb with no warning.
I gave you 30 days.
I don't want to hear it.